Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we'll be showing you everything we know so far about the Chinese space station. Without further ado, let's begin. Tiangong is the successor to China's Tiangong 1 and Tiangong 2 space laboratories, launched in 2011 and 2016 respectively. It will be built on a modular design, similar to the International Space Station operated by the United States, Russia, Japan, Canada, and the European Space Agency. China's space program is making impressive progress. The country only launched its first crewed flight in 2003, more than 40 years after the Soviet Union's Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space. China's first successful Mars mission launched in 2020, half a century after the U.S. Mariner 9 probe flew past the Red Planet. But the rising Asian superpower is catching up fast, flying missions to the Moon and Mars, launching heavy lift rockets, building a new space telescope set to fly in 2024, and most recently, putting the first piece of the Tiangong space station, the name means Heavenly Palace, into orbit. Much like the former Russian space station Mir and the International Space Station, the entire project is too large to be put into orbit in one launch. Tianhe, weighing 22.5 tons, was lofted to an orbit of 400 kilometers above Earth on a Long March 5B rocket from the Wenchang launch site on the island of Hainan, China. The Long March 5B is a heavy lift rocket with a thrust between the SpaceX rockets Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. The core module contains everything needed to keep people alive in space. This includes life support systems, a kitchen, sleeping and sanitation areas, electrical power management, and firefighting equipment. To help sustain the 3 astronauts on their 6-day working week, the kitchen is currently well stocked with over 120 different types of food. The core module is also equipped with docking ports. These will enable future modules, astronaut flights, and robotic cargo resupply capsules to dock. Tiangong is the successor to China's Tiangong 1 and Tiangong 2 space laboratories launched in 2011 and 2016 respectively. It will be built on a modular design, similar to the International Space Station operated by the United States, Russia, Japan, Canada, and the European Space Agency, to 2 laboratories with a combined weight of nearly 77 tons. The core capsule, named Tianhe, Harmony of Heavens, is about the size of a bus. Containing life support and control systems, this core will be the station's living quarters. At 25 tons, 22.5 metric tons, the Tianhe capsule is the biggest and heaviest spacecraft China has ever constructed. The capsule will be central to the space station's future operations. In 2022, 2 slightly smaller modules are expected to join Tianhe to extend the space station and make it possible to carry out various scientific and technological experiments. Ultimately, the station will include 14 internal experiment racks and 50 external ports for studies of the space environment. Tianhe will be just 1/5 the size of the International Space Station and will host up to 3 crew members at a time. The first 3 taikonauts, as Chinese astronauts are often known, are expected to take up residence in June this year. Part of a huge rocket that launched China's first module for its Tianhe space station is falling back to Earth and could make an uncontrolled re-entry at an unknown landing point. The 30-meter-high core of the Long March 5B rocket launched the Heavenly Harmony unmanned core module into low Earth orbit on the 29th of April from Wenchang in China's Hainan province. The Long March 5B then itself re-entered a temporary orbit, setting the stage for one of the largest ever uncontrolled re-entries. Some experts fear it could land on an inhabited area. If you're enjoying the video, then hit the like button and smash the subscribe button. Tianhe was launched from China's Hainan Island on April 29th aboard a Long March 5B rocket. These rockets have 1 core stage and 4 boosters, each of which is more than 90 feet tall, nearly 28 meters tall, the height of a 9-story building, and almost 10 feet wide, more than 3 meters. The Long March 5B weighs about 940 tons, 850 metric tons, when fully fueled, and can lift a 28-ton, 25 metric ton payload into low Earth orbit. During the Tianhe launch, the gigantic core stage of the rocket, weighing around 22 tons, 120 metric tons spun out of control, eventually splashing down more than a week later in the Indian Ocean. The absence of a control system for the return of the rocket to Earth has raised criticism from the international community. However, these rockets are a key element of China's short-term ambitions in space. They are planned to be used to deliver modules and crew to Tiangong, as well as launching exploratory probes to the Moon and eventually Mars. Despite leaving behind an enormous hunk of space junk, Tianhe made it safely to orbit. An hour and 13 minutes after launch, its solar panels started operating and the module powered up. To find out when the space station might be visible from where you are, you can check websites such as n2yo.com, which shows the station's current location and its predicted path for the next 10 days. Note that these predictions are based on models that can change quite quickly because the space station is slowly falling in its orbit and periodically boosts itself back up to higher altitudes. The station orbits Earth every 91 minutes. Once you find the time of the station's next pass over your location, at night you won't be able to see it in the daytime, check the direction it will be coming from. Find yourself a dark spot away from bright lights and look out for a tiny, fast-moving spark of light trailing across the heavens. Chinese astronauts have performed the country's first tandem spacewalk, working for 7 hours on the outside of the new Tiangong station in orbit around Earth. Tiangong's construction is a significant step in China's ambitious space program. China has previously landed a rover on Mars and sent probes to the Moon. Last month, 3 astronauts blasted off to become the first crew of the station, where they will remain for 3 months in China's longest crewed mission to date. On Sunday morning, 2 of them left the station for about 7 hours of work in the first spacewalk at Tiangong, the China Manned Space Agency said. The safe return of astronauts Lu Boming and Tiang Hongbo to the Tianhe core module marks the complete success of the first spacewalk in our country's space station construction, the agency said. Their tasks included elevating a panoramic camera outside the Tianhe core module and testing the station's robotic arm, which will be used to transfer future modules around the station, state media said. The astronauts installed foot stops on the robotic arm and with its support carried out other assembly work, the space agency added. With another platform for humans to live long-term in orbit, we hope that the amazing success of the International Space Station will be replicated on the Tiangong station. The experience that the astronauts gain will no doubt be invaluable for planning future lunar and Martian exploration efforts. Recently, Russia and China unveiled a roadmap for the International Lunar Research Station. This project will involve numerous robotic lunar orbiters and landers and will culminate in a human-crewed research facility either in lunar orbit or on the surface. This project, if successful, could see Chinese and Russian astronauts based on the Moon from the 2030s. Tiangong is one of a number of notable successes for the Chinese space program in recent years. These include the first lunar sample return missions since the 1970s and the country's first robotic lander on the Martian surface, complete with rover, which successfully touched down in May this year. In the new space race, China is clearly a real contender. So guys, let me know down in the comments section below, what do you think about the Chinese space station? For more interesting content, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Have a nice day, and I'll see you on the next video.